All right, ladies and gentlemen, hello. Hello and good morning. My name is Darius Anucauskas and I'm the Chief Market Analyst here at Markets.com. Sorry for the little technical glitches lately. Just trying to figure out a few things here and there. Look, welcome everybody. Hi, my name is Darius Anucauskas. As I said, look, today is Wednesday. Today is the 16th of July, and we're not only midweek, but we're mid-month. A few interesting economic developments happening, so we'll talk about all that. But before we go any further, as always, let's have a read through our risk disclaimer. So yes, the content we produce does not constitute investment advice or investment recommendation and should not be considered as such. This material should not be taken as an invitation to acquire any financial instrument or product. I'll give you a few seconds to read the rest. I'm going to put my usual good morning in the chat room. Good morning. There we go. Just a second. Good morning, everyone. So, ladies and gentlemen, feel free to ask questions. Feel free to communicate because that's what this show is for. Look, we pick up normally on indices, forex, commodities, and cryptos. And look, if you have any questions around those, feel free. Throw it out there and we'll go from there. Look, also just a quick mentioning of our Markets.com website, which you can always check out for more information about us. If you have any questions, reach out to us. We'll be more than happy to assist. Ladies and gentlemen, let's have a look at the indices. Yesterday, the indices, well, they were actually on a mixed side. US indices yesterday corrected a little bit lower, but I'll talk about that in a bit. The other indices, Asia, for example, remains somewhat elevated. I talked about the Nikkei 225 situation here, and I said that the technical picture still looks somewhat positive because, again, we are still trading above this upside line, above this downside line, basically above the crossroads of these two trend lines. That means that there is still hope, and maybe what we're seeing here, this little correction back down, is something of a little correction. Maybe it's actually part of a bullish flag here. But either way, I think that for me at this point, in order to be a little bit more on the safe side, I would prefer to wait for a push over the 40,620 zone right here, the upper side here of this wide resistance area. And if we can get that move, wonderful. I will go more to the upside. In general, in terms of economic data, from Japan, we didn't really get much. Only Tuesday, I think that we got something. No, wait, that was China. Sorry. Japan was on Monday. We got the industrial production figures where Japan kind of did not really show a very good year-on-year figure. So it declined. So yeah, it's a little bit of a bummer, I would say, for Japan. However, the market is still not selling off. I think what Japan is waiting, they're waiting for the upcoming elections, which are happening in Japan next week. So, yeah. I think that's what's going to be interesting because they will try to understand, or everybody will actually try to understand what's going to happen with the BOJ and its further possible rate hikes. So, long story short, again, we know that there are some political activity happening in Japan, so I think that maybe Nikkei is actually waiting for that. Let's jump into China very quickly. China drifted back below this 13,800 zone. We're now near this upside line, the steeper one, taken from the low of the 7th of April. So look, as long as we stay above that upside line, I will continue targeting the upside. I will remain cautiously bullish. So this move right now to the downside, yes, somewhat bearish. However, it still could be classed as a temporary correction for another possible leg of buying. If we do break the upside line, then yes, of course, I'll start considering slightly lower levels. I'm going to aim for that 100-day EMA together with this upside line taken from the low of the 30th of April. Let's jump into Dow Jones Industrial Average. So look, yesterday, let me just pick up on this a little bit more. So yesterday we got the inflation numbers from the US, from Canada, but okay, we're looking at the US ones, and the year-on-year headline came out at 2.7, the same as expected. The same. I was shooting for somewhere in between 2.7 and 2.4, but okay, it came out at 2.7. That's fine. Look, look, for now, I would say this way that, I'm sorry, my Microsoft Office decided to alert me of an update. Anyway, a little bit later. Look, for now, like I said, the situation is this, that the headline inflation came out higher. It came out at 2.7. Maybe that's also factoring in higher oil prices during June, when we had that spike in oil due to the conflict in the Middle East, let's call it this way. Yeah, I mean, the core came out lower than the forecast at 3. It came out higher than the previous, but still lower than the forecast. So in a way, I think we can actually put everything towards that higher those higher oil prices. Now, in general, the market did not like that. The market did not like that because, again, this is okay. In general, putting all the politics aside, it's kind of pushing the Fed towards a possible, not actually a rate hike, but more of a pausing with the cuts. Look, I don't think that this is going to happen. I think we're still on the right track for this year. Let me just update the page here. We are on track for kind of no action happening in July, but then September time we're expecting a cut, and then December time. So basically, by the end of December, we're expecting 2 cuts, and I think that the market kind of got this little fear moment that maybe because of the higher inflation, maybe the Fed will stay strong, and they will not kind of stay strong with their policy. Let's say when inflation goes higher, you need to slow down the cutting and kind of even maybe sometimes think of hiking. So, but again, I don't know. It's at the moment I think that this is not going to happen. I think that still the all the 2 cuts most likely will happen, not because they're needed. I think because those will be pressured in. So again, that's because it's politics, and of course we understand that there are talks about potentially firing Jerome Powell, so the market might not like that as well, and I don't think that the US dollar would like that. Well, again, we'll see. But hey, who needs a strong dollar, right? When you're selling military equipment to other countries. So yes, for now, long story short, looking at this picture here, look, I talked about this falling channel pattern, and we are breaking the lower side of it. Okay, look, there is still a hope for a rebound near this upside line taken from the low the 7th of April. So maybe we could see a rebound from this upside line, and if we do, then yes, we could push higher. However, if we start clearing the upside line, well, there we go. I think that we are kind of opening the door for some lower areas. The S&P 500, look, with this one, Dow looks a little bit more pessimistic, I would say, but the Dow Jones, the S&P 500 is still within the range. I mean, yesterday we created a new all-time high, but we failed to stay above the previous all-time high. So this kind of looks like a bearish indication. However, we're still in this little range. So I need a clearance. I need a clearance of one of the sides, and I need not only like just a pop or something like that. No, I also need to see I need to see the body of the daily candle staying outside of this. So look, let me just highlight this for a little bit more. Yeah, there we go. Let's put it this way. Yeah. So basically, I need to see the body of the daily candle, not staying either above this upper side of the range or below. And if we can get that move, then yes, wonderful. Potentially, we could consider the next short-term directional move. For now, I'm just observing the price action. Nasdaq 100, similar story. Yesterday, great rally, great move to the upside. We know that was driven by these fellows here, this one and this one, because apparently the U.S. granted them permission to sell their chips to China. Well, that's a big market, and well, this is the reaction we're getting, or should I say we got. Now, again, at the moment, yes, everything looks nice and rosy and dandy, but again, looking at this, I'm wondering where we're going to open up today on NVIDIA, because look, we're a little bit further away from the earnings, and the earnings will be in August, at the end of August. So we're currently in this earnings season. We had a few financial companies reporting yesterday. We had, JP Morgan, we had Citigroup. Citigroup was on fire yesterday. However, BlackRock was the bummer here, and we saw the stock market, yes, kind of, not loving that moment, and there we go. We saw a decline, although they had a good, earnings. It seems like that they had good earnings, but revenue surprise was to the downside a little bit, and they had like the late inflows of capital. I think that was also the issue there. So yeah, in general, it seems to be like the company is doing well. However, yes, there are a few little metrics. So whenever you reach, at that level, whenever you reach that major level where, everybody's kind of expecting from you to be awesome, it basically, that means that they will scrutinize you for every little like hiccup or something like that. So you're I don't know, I'm trying to give an example here, but I mean of real life. But anyway, you got the picture basically. So if you're a smaller company, then yeah, maybe just a good revenue is enough for you, and you're done. But when you're like a major, like, or let's say the top, you're just a simple, top asset management company, and which has the most amount of money under management. Actually, you know what? I'm curious right now. What's BlackRock's BlackRock under management? How much do they have? 10. It says around 10 trillion. I mean, 10 trillion, right? So yeah, I mean, this is what we're, and that's why, like, when these little hiccups happen, I think that this is where the kind of the company gets scrutinized, and yeah, this is what we're seeing. In general, to be honest, I think that whenever you have these little, scrutiny moments, I think that this is like just a good time for like somebody to buy, to go in, because this 1,000 kind of 100 price tag maybe was a little bit too much. Maybe somebody's thinking, hey, let's go and get that 1,000 level and go in long in there or something like that. So again, we'll continue monitoring the situation here with BlackRock, of course, but certainly the giant did feel the heat yesterday. By the way, just out of curiosity, from let's see, from the close that we had here on Monday. So roughly that was a drop of around 6%, something like that. So 6% drop ish. Okay, that's a significant amount for BlackRock in my opinion, but it's nothing when you kind of run from around the end of June here to all the way to here, like you do 15%. So yeah, good. Just wiped out roughly a little bit, a half of it, but okay, who's counting, right? I mean, when you have like 10 trillion under asset management, so you're doing very well in fees. Look, anyway, coming back to the situation with the indices. For now, the same story as with the S&P. I'm watching this as a range here, and I'm watching it, and I'm waiting for the exit to happen. From a clearance through one of the sides could attract a few more buyers and sellers respectively, depending on which side we clear. Economic calendar looks somewhat on the quieter side now, but okay, look, today we have the PPIs, right? This is one of those important ones. Industrial production is also coming out today. Manufacturing production is also coming out today from the US, so let's keep an eye on that one. If you're trading oil, which I'll get to in a bit, we are looking at oil EIA crude oil stock change number. So that one is expected to see a decline here. So right, okay, interesting. Let's see if we actually do get that drop in the stockpile. And if we do, then maybe we could see a boost in oil. But like I said, I'll get to oil in a bit. Let's have a look at the dollar index. So yesterday's CPIs were in favor of the US dollar. Look, again, just because the theory goes that if you see an increase in inflation, that means that maybe the bank could halt on their rate cuts. But again, we have politics, so that's why for now, yes, we saw a little moment here, a little breather for the bulls of DXY, of the US dollar index. But is this going to be sustained? Look, I said to you on Monday that if we do push above the 97.70 zone, I'm kind of leaning towards that 98.5, maybe 99 zone, something like that. But no, it's probably more of a touch of this 50-day EMA, which, to be honest, I think we kind of reached our goal here. I mean, we didn't really touch here, but but it's in a way it's enough. Sometimes when you see such price action, it's better just to take profits here if you were long and just enjoy the moment. Now, even if it does go a little bit high, back up here, tests the 50-day EMA, okay, that's fine. But look, I'll probably start shifting my attention slowly towards higher levels. If we do, first of all, push back above the 98.65, then I'll slowly aim for the 99.34 zone here, somewhere around here. But then the main focus, of course, will be the 100-day EMA here, shown as the blue line, wherever it's going to be. And then we'll go from there. Now, look, long story short, the situation, like I said, keep your eyes on the PPIs today. The current expectation for the year-on-year PPI is to come out a little bit on the lower side, but to be honest, and the core one is, yeah, also on the lower side. But to be honest, look, CPIs came out on the higher side, so I don't know. I mean, I'm really curious actually to see if this is going to be on the lower side. I mean, if it comes out close enough to previous, I think that's enough for the US dollar to kind of maybe push higher a little bit. Sorry, had to sip a bit of tea. Look, so yeah, keep your eyes on the US dollar. If you're trading something related to the US dollar or something denominated in the US dollar, then, well, this is the piece of data for you to watch. Thursday, by the way, the usual continuous and initial and continuous jobless claims are coming out, so keep your eyes on that one. The initial ones are expected to come out a little bit on the higher side. Continuous also on the higher side, so not very good. Philadelphia Fed Manufacturing Index is expected to improve a little bit on Thursday. Let's see if that's gonna happen or not. And retail sales. Retail sales, well, we don't have a forecast, but previous one was a 3.3, and in general, we're having a little bit of a slowdown moment here. Let's see what's going to happen there. Now, jumping into the German index DAX. So yesterday, we also drifted lower. Let me just jump into this one, the main one. Yesterday, we drifted lower. We corrected lower, yes. We dropped below the 24,120 zone. I talked about this last week, this week, in the beginning of this week, yes. I said that if we do drop and stay below it, we'll aim for that 50-day EMA and that 23,671 territory. So basically, for now, it's an interesting one. It's looking more bearish than bullish, to be honest. I would really love to see this one actually pushing back up, but again, I cannot really go against my logic and everything what I was saying before, that that if we do fall and stay below the 24,120 zone, then I'll go a little bit lower. However, somebody might say, but hey, look, we violated this one a few times here and there, so maybe it's no longer that significant as you thought it could be. Well, look, maybe you're right, maybe you could be right. Yes, maybe we're looking at maybe some wrong levels, but either way, even if we're looking at something here around this 24,166, for example, which is the low, the inside swing low of the 11th of July, because we can see that on the 14th, on Monday, it was a good area of resistance as well. So maybe we can look at that one. But either way, that we're still below it, and that means that we're kind of opening the door to some lower areas here. So for now, I would say I would be a little bit more on the careful side, on the cautious side, and slowly aim for the 50-day EMA wherever it's going to be, but hopefully somewhere around this 23,671 territory right there. The FTSE 100 very quickly. The FTSE, of course, we're seeing some political moves in UK, and also we had some data. Where's data? Where's that UK data? Let me just double check it. Do I have UK here? Where is UK? Where is UK? All right, okay. Somehow it's not added here. There we go. Apply. Now, right, there we go. That's what I was looking for. Inflation numbers. We had this morning the UK inflation number, which came out on the higher side. Look at this. Core inflation came out at 3.7, also on the higher side. So in a way, everything is kind of pointing more towards the upside here. So look, the trend. Let's have a look at the headline year-on-year number and the chart. Let's have a look at this one. So as you can see, after kind of dropping in September here to the lows, we started picking up pace and we're starting to push back up here. And to be honest, I think that this is something for the central bank to be worried about. Because we know that their current interest rate is around 4.25. So they did cut the rate in May, and they dropped it to 4.25. In June, they kept the rate unchanged. The next interest rate decision will be, let me just double check, on the 7th of August. So keep that in mind. Right. We don't have the expectation right now for what could happen then, but I don't think that they're gonna go for a cut of some sort, because if inflation is picking up, I mean, this is the cuts are the last thing that you need to do. So okay, let's see. Like I said, let's see what's gonna happen here. However, the market, looking at this, we saw this correction back down after creating a new all-time high. We drifted lower, but you see, the market doesn't feel bad yet. Yes, we're getting kind of worrying numbers, economic numbers, but they're still not bad. In general, the economy is working, deals are made, although they're somebody might debate the fairness of all this, but again, yeah, for now it seems like that if we stay above this 8,910 zone, somewhere around here, I will continue targeting the upside. So yeah, keep that in mind. If we do fall below the 8,910 zone, then I will consider a bit of a move to the downside here. Look, let's jump into Forex, ladies and gentlemen. Honestly, like, I think that one's a very interesting market. Sometimes I think that Forex is losing its popularity, but it's there's a lot of things interesting happening here, a lot of things that you can explain. Look, AUDUSD yesterday, because of the stronger US dollar, declined, but we're still within the rising wedge pattern. I talked about this, and I'm going to stick to my words that while we remain inside the pattern, there is still the trajectory is still to the upside, and we could still bounce around here. Look how well we travel a little bit higher, tested the area near the upper side of the rising wedge here, and kind of we drifted back down. So in general, rising wedges tend to break to the downside. However, in this case, I keep on repeating that we're looking at the prevailing trend. The prevailing trend was to the upside, so there's a greater chance for this one maybe to break out higher. Look. I just wanted to quickly double check, yeah, look, so that's in terms of AUDUSD. So another little economic data set that recently is coming in, or will be coming out tomorrow, and that's the job numbers, and those are the job numbers from Australia. So unemployment rate is expected to come out the same at 4.1. Participation rate expected to remain the same. In general, the market, the Australian market, seemed to be resilient and seems to be, somewhat of a strong one. So look, for now, long story short, I think that if we do get some better numbers than the forecast, then maybe we could see a little bit of action here to the upside on AUDUSD. That said, a lot of things will depend from the US dollar if it wants to continue pushing higher. AUDJPY, so our risk on, risk off monitor shows that we are still positive, but my target has been reached. If you remember, since last week, on Monday as well, I kept on talking about this 97.32 territory. Boom. That's the high of the 12th of February this year. Of course, not the highest point of this year, but in general, yes, the high of this year, and the high of February 12th, and we reached that. Now, the 99.16 is the highest point, the current highest point of this year, so in a way, there is a good chance for this one to continue pushing higher, and for now, like I said, we will go slowly on this. If we do get a halt near the 97.32, great, wonderful. We could see maybe a little bit of a retracement, but if we get a clearance of this territory, I will go a little bit more to the upside. NZD USD continues to slide. Beautiful. Everything is very technical. Everything is working out here. And yes, we fell below the 0.5975 territory. My next target is the 100-day EMA and the 200-day EMA. So this is what I'm going to aim for now, period. NVDA AMD, as I kept on calling it recently, the better risk on, risk off monitor. Well, maybe still the case, I would say. Maybe still the case. We're seeing this moderate move to the upside, basically kind of seeing this moderate move in indices as well. Now, so for now, I'm going to just approach this from the technical perspective. We are remaining above this 87.90 zone, or in general, you can say the 1888 zone. If we continue to trade above that area, then yes, I'm going to continue targeting the upside. USDJPY. USDJPY pushing nicely to the upside, yes, breaking higher. And of course, at the moment, everything is, like I said, working out beautifully. I talked about this idea where I said that if we do push above the 146.28 zone, somewhere around here, and this 100-day EMA, my next target is the 200-day EMA or the 148.45. There we go. Managed to reach that. This area here, we're now kind of resting a little bit above this zone. In general, look, I'll say it this way. Even if we do see a retracement here back down, as long as we stay somewhere above the 200-day EMA, I'm going to continue targeting the upside, targeting the high of the 28th of March of this year near the 151.20 zone. USDCAD. USDCAD is, we had a push higher, yes, yesterday, but Canadian inflation also came out on the higher side. So, yay. What can I say? Where's that? Tuesday, there we go. What can I say? I mean, look, the core inflation year on year, 2.7 against 2.5 in Canada. Inflation rate year on year, Canadian, 1.9 against 1.7. Yes, it was like this forecasted, like the forecast, but still, something of a positive thing here for Canadian dollar, and that's why maybe we didn't see the USD/CAD pushing strongly to the upside, because we saw a move to the upside, but not a very strong one, because again, I think that it kind of got controlled with stronger Canadian dollar as well. USDCHF, beautiful, yeah, retracement. I talked a lot about this already, so 0.8038, that's what I'm watching here. If we do break this, look, am I going to get very comfortable, very positive with the upside? Yeah, I'm going to just aim for this downside line, and then kind of that's it. Then we'll see what it wants to do with the downside line, because yes, I mean, it is at an interesting spot here. So look, ladies and gentlemen, for now I will keep an eye on this barrier, the 0.8038. If we stay below that, then yes, I will continue I will aim for the downside. Let's put it this way. Let's jump into the euro dollar very quickly. As always, beautiful decline. Yes, stronger dollar. What can I say? For now, it's we dropped below the 1.1631. My next target is the 50-day EMA. As long as we stay below it, this rising channel no longer needed. What we can do here at this point will be this downside line. There we go. I need a break of that downside line in order to go to the upside. If I can get that move, amazing, more buyers could join in. EUROJPY, I said to you last week, the week before that, Monday, I said all that stuff that I will continue pushing towards the upside on this one because this is just unstoppable for now. Look at this. Look at this. I mean, this is just where we are. 172.91. Okay. Look, this is the high of the 16th of July of 2024. 175.4142 zone here. Yeah, that's something that my next target is. This is the highest point of 2024. So let's see if we can reach that. At the moment, we're on the right track. It's just a nice straight line here. And hey, I would say just be careful in general. If you're late to the game, I would say, well, don't touch it. Just observe it because we will have ourselves an opportunity here for the downside. But at this point, I'm just being very careful and cautious, and I'm waiting for some sort of like a catalyst here to indicate to me that we're ready to reverse back down. At the moment, it's not. Maybe the politics of Japan somehow could have its effect here on the downside, could strengthen the Japanese yen, but at the moment we're like in this little limbo, or actually not limbo, more of a bullish case scenario, and I think that we don't know when it could shift towards the bearish one. Let's jump into GBPUSD very quickly here. Yes, tested this upside line, failed to rebound, broke it. Now the question is, can we break below the 1.3370 zone right here, where we're currently finding strong support? If we do drop and stay below it, my next target is the 100 and the 200-day EMAs. Let's have a look at gold. What's happening with gold, ladies and gentlemen? Look at this. Yesterday we did decline because, again, yesterday we saw some positivity coming out from NVIDIA. The stock market seemed to be somewhat positive, but then it kind of started correcting back down, and gold was also correcting back down. So there was a little bit of discrepancy here. So normally everybody sees gold as a safe haven and jumps in when the stock market is down. But yeah, what I said to you recently in one of my videos here, let me just show you what I'm talking about. Where is our page here? There we go. So this is what I threw out yesterday, basically, on gold, and I said to everybody that, look, it seems like we're currently in a ascending triangle, but we have an ascending triangle. We have an ascending triangle within a bigger ascending triangle. So it's kind of somewhat like double the positives, you would say, because again, the ascending triangles tend to break to the upside. So you would say maybe it's, like I said, it's a double positive. However, because we're getting closer to these trend lines, which are the lower show the lower side of the possible ascending triangle pattern, then there is a chance of a breakout here. Again, at the same time, we have the 50-day EMA, which is providing strong support. So if we do see a rebound from here, okay, wonderful, that's great. We could see a move back up, but at the moment, I would say don't rush. Again, like I said, it's an interesting spot, but hey, do not rush. Let's see. We need that confirmation. So while we remain in this territory right here, below this 3,365 and these two upside lines, I will remain somewhat of a neutral one. I'll remain the somewhat of a neutral position. Silver, let's have a look. Silver corrected back down. That's fine after a good rally here this week. So yes, on Monday we saw this one shooting up nicely to the upside here. Just kind of coming shy of, maybe from almost $1 from kind of reaching the psychological 40 level. But in general, I think that yes, the upside scenario is still valid, so you can just keep an eye on this here. If we do clear the upper side, this 37.30 zone, and we clear this upside line, then yes, great, more sellers here could join in. Palladium, just have a quick glance. We dropped back below the 1,250 zone, so in a way, it's I wouldn't say it became suddenly bearish, but certainly something to keep in mind. Maybe we're I wouldn't say done with the upside scenario, but certainly we're seeing a drop back below this key area of resistance. We overshot it, but now we're dropping back below it. Okay, that's interesting. So maybe it could be seen as a little bit of a bearish indication. Jumping into copper, copper is doing something of a flag here, potentially flagging out. Let's see if that's going to be the case. Oil. Now this one is interesting. So look, oil did decline a little bit more yesterday, but it kind of declined within the parameters here of the EMAs. So we tested the 50-day EMA, the last one here, and rebounded back up. So this bearish flag formation, and I will stick to my words here that this this is looking a little bit more bearish than bullish. And in general, I kept on saying to everybody, I will stay bearish. I mean, honestly, you can go through, I don't know, since like last few months videos, I mean, where I say that I'm bearish on overall, that I'm bearish on oil, because I don't see this one being elevated that much. There are way too many factors pointing, or supporting the downside scenario. Not only that, demand is dropping in general, and supply remains the same, but demand is dropping slowly due to tariffs. Then you have a situation where, forgot the other situation. Wait just a second. My brain, I think I need a sip of tea. So one problem is demand for oil, but then look, you know what? I forgot the other issue. Honestly, I think this is where the problem is. I think my brain is not working today properly. Okay, look. Long story short, let's put it this way. WTI oil, we are having production. Yes. Production keeps on getting increased. That's another problem. There we go. They did say that they're going to increase production. That's what I was trying to say. Honestly, like went blank there. Apologies. So production, they're trying to OPEC Plus decided to increase production in September, but then they came out saying in October we're going to drop production. Again, I think that it will be depending on demand. However, they do realize themselves that they cannot really continue pumping that much. I mean, they're going to drop the price. Well, another thing is that, this is the third thing to know, what could support the lower prices, that the US wants to see lower prices, because this is what they want to use this as a tool against some countries. And like Iran, like Russia, who are exporting oil, and so that their revenues would be on the lower side. So I think that there's like I said, these kind of factors that are weighing in on oil, and they're not really very supportive of the upside. Hence why I remain bearish. Looking at natural gas, now this one it seems like it has a bit of a life of its own. It does just kind of a random walk in a way. Sometimes to me that looks like that, but okay, look, it's pushing higher, pushed back over the 200-day EMA. We're testing the EMAs here, the 15 to 100. If we do climb above those, I'm gonna go for slightly higher levels. Coffee, that's what I need. I think that's what I didn't have today. Coffee. That my getting the coffee addiction, and it's a pleasant addiction. It's something that you probably want to stick to, but But yeah, it is somewhat of an addiction to coffee, you know. And this is what I didn't have this morning. Maybe that's why I'm blanking out, and my brain is blanking out in certain instruments. Coffee futures. Look, we pushed back up here, right? I mean, we're climbing back up, and we climbed above this 293 territory. I talked about this, and I said that if we do climb and stay above this area, I will remain somewhat positive, at least with a near-term outlook. Let's see what's going to happen next. For now, we're moving in the right direction. Wheat. We fell. This is a roller coaster ride, so we fell back below the EMAs. So in a way, I think that all these EMAs now, the 50, the 100, and the 200, are going to be closely getting into a bit of a something like a squeeze where they're going to be touching each other, in my opinion. But at least maybe the 50 and the 100. But I don't know if the 200, and if that happens with the 200 as well, then. Well, I would say we're getting into a bit of a squeeze of some sort. Sugar. Now, sugar is a little bit of a choppy session, and but with sugar, the seasonality is kicking in. Look, you get your dump of sugar cane. Brazil kind of froze out a lot of sugar into the market at once, and then we have this kind of seasonality moment where it tends to rise between like May and June, or between April and June, and then kind of fades away a little bit. But at this point, and it fades away and then picks up again somewhere like September, October time or something like that. So at this point, we're seeing some sort of like positivity. I talked about this when I said that if I do see a push and a stay above the 16.45 level, great, I'm going to get more comfortable with the upside. I'm going to get even more comfortable with the upside if we do climb above the 16.79 territory, which kind of coincides nicely with the 50-day EMA right now, shown here as the green line. So we've cleared that one. Great, more buyers could join in. Cotton. Cotton, my beloved cotton, is now resting near the 200-day EMA. If we do climb and stay above it, I'm going to continue aiming for the upside. And finally, for dessert, ladies and gentlemen, let's look at the crypto world. So, okay, a bit of a roller coaster ride here on the cryptos. Major decline yesterday. I talked. Look. First of all, 122 territory got tested, and this is what I was aiming for last week. I kept on telling you this. And hey, there we go. Mission accomplished. Look at this, how well we tested that area. This was kind of ongoing for a while now. I mean, this is something that I aimed for here. And this is what I talked about previously, the 78.60 zone on the Fibonacci extension, which is drawn from the lowest point of August of 2024 to the highest point of January of 2025, and then the lowest point of April of 2025. There we go. We tested that area near the 122 zone, and we drifted back down. So I'm still leaning a little bit more towards the upside, but only up until this territory once again. We had some positive news coming out from the market where JP Morgan and Citigroup are they're willing to get involved in stable coins, basically. So right, okay, everybody's now into cryptos. What's interesting is that yes, it's in a way it's a great thing, it's becoming more attractive, more popular, but as I said before, the whole concept, the whole point of the cryptos kind of was to be deregulated, not regulated, and to be free and stuff like that. But I think that what's happening right now, I think that either you fall under regulations and you get regulated, or you disappear. So that's where the issue is right now. So in those major institutions like Ripple, Ethereum, they're all kind of trying to right now probably comply with regulations, because from what they saw that maybe they will benefit a little bit more from from kind of working together with the government. But as we know, working with the government is not always the best thing to do, But anyway, I think that for now, yes, we're living through the hype. But just if we're looking at the kind of in this problem from like more of an in-depth perspective, then we're, like I said, we're kind of killing the essence of the whole cryptos, you know. But anyway, let's see what's gonna happen. For now, yes, it is in an interesting spot here. Bitcoin. So look, once again, I'm targeting this 122 territory, and then we'll see. I'm not gonna say anything else yet because again, for now, my downside scenario would be on a drop back below the 112 territory. Bitcoin Cash fell back below the 500 zone and continues to trade below that 500 zone. So long story short, I mean, I'm kind of leaning towards the downside, to be honest. I mean, I'm leaning towards these this 50-day EMA together with this upside line taken from the low of the 7th of April. Also Ethereum. Ethereum is looking actually very strong. Look at this, clearing that 3,166 right now. It just continues to plow through 3,282. That's what I'm aiming next. Ripple is stuck near the 2.96 territory. Basically, is stuck slightly below that psychological 3 level. And I think that this is an important barrier for Ripple to overcome. If we can overcome that 3, then, well, the next target is the all-time high at 3.39 zone-ish, approximately around there somewhere. Litecoin is also trying to make its way higher, but again, we're being very careful and cautious with Litecoin. It seems like Litecoin is struggling with that momentum, but still kind of picking up, but still not as other major cryptos. Dogecoin looking somewhat bullish, to be honest. Looks like a bullish flag here, but look, I'll say it this way: as long as we stay above all the EMAs here on the daily chart, I'm going to continue targeting the upside. Polkadot, this one's doing good, climbing above the 100-day EMA again. Let's see if this is not going to be one of those false breakouts again. But so far, it is looking quite positive. If we stay above the 100-day EMA, I'm targeting the 200-day EMA. And finally, Tron stabilized a little bit, declined. So hey, I think that maybe just there is a little bit of a moment of trying to kind of wait to play the wait and see game right now. I mean, keep your eyes on the US PPIs. Yesterday, this declined heavily because again, this is denominated in the US dollars. This one here, TRX USD. So we saw, yes, the US dollar rallying strongly, and kind of this is the effect that we had here. But we stayed above the 0.2932, my previous breakout point. We stayed above it, so there is a good chance for this one to actually push back up. Ladies and gentlemen, and that is a wrap. That is a wrap. I hope you found this useful. Thank you very much for watching and listening. Join me on Friday, the usual time. We're going to talk markets again. We're going to wrap up the week. But hey, I hope you, like I said, I hope you found this useful. Thank you very much. As always, stay safe. Have your stop losses in place. Risk only what you can afford to lose. Don't overtrade, and everything will be fine. I'll see you on Friday. And by the way, don't forget to subscribe, because we're throwing out these little, I'm also throwing out these little separate video analysis on separate topics. So hey, check us out. It's in the video section. It has a name called Top News. So check it out, and I hope you find it useful. Thank you very much, and I'll see you later. Bye bye.